So I guess we'll call the meeting to order. We, certifying that open meeting laws requirements have been met. Okay. I heard that nod.
Yes.
Okay. We have a 17-item agenda. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Motion,
Bridget?
Bridget? Aye.
Addie, second.
okay.
Any questions, adjustments we need to make, and who fits where, or anything like that? Okay. All in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. I heard everybody. Previous minutes,
Move to approve.
okay?
A second.
Okay, now, I have one point that I think a word needs to be added in the, I'll call it the third paragraph. Meeting called to order by, it said Chair Larson. At that point, I was an acting chair. So I think that word needs to be inserted in there.
Well, it could work because you were chair prior, last term, too.
I don't,
Oh, acting chair is fine.
I can change it.
okay. On the printed version, the third page, under the healthcare bond refinancing, the wording does not seem to fit what I thought it should be, and I had a little conversation with Becky, and I think you agreed some adjustments need to be made, but I'm not sure what. Turn your mic on, please.
I would ask Paul, do you know what the specific wording would be?
I didn't bring that
Isn't
resolution
it-
with, but it was 4%,
I thought it
at
was
least.
not-
At least,
To
yeah.
not be less than
Yes.
4%.
Yeah, because I
To not-
listened to every word that you were saying during that.
So-
Just to make sure I had the correct wording.
So it just needs to put in after refinance, put not to be less than
Not to-
4%.
Yeah,
Okay.
Not to exceed, I think.
Good catch, I
what's that?
Good catch. I did not see that.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else?
Did you say less than or exceed?
Not to
Not
exceed.
to be-
Not to be less than,
Not to be less
not to be
than.
less than 4%.
than 4%.
Oh, yes, not exceed. Yes,
Okay?
or
Now,
at least.
we can make that adjustment and then approve it with the adjustments. We don't need a motion to add those words, do we?
Those are all friendly.
Okay. Okay, with that being the case, all in favor of the minutes approval, say yes.
Aye.
Negative? Carried. At this point, we'll announce the members of the public will have a 15-minute block of time to comment on today's agenda items. Members may be present in person or call in to make such comments. To comment by telephone, please call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at the direction of the committee board or board chair after advisement by the board. I see nobody here in person. I don't see any lights on the phone. We'll leave it open temporarily and move on to the next item. County sales tax update.
Well, as you remember, last month we were down quite a bit. This month we're up quite a bit. So overall, we are ahead of last year again. So at
Which
600.
is good because our budget moved us ahead. Okay, anybody else have any other comments on the sales tax? And the general fund.
General fund, the only change was last month the county board was the 2,000 for the employee recognition.
Which brings a question from me. The actual bill, I think I saw, was gonna be around 1,800. We approved up to
think-
2,000. What happens to that other? Does it sit there, or do we need to
It
move
is
it back?
just sitting there, yep.
Do we need to move the balance back into the general fund, or how do we handle that?
You can if you want to.
Anybody?
It probably will have to be a resolution to go to county board to remove it.
Or is there,
Just,
leave it in there for an option
I
for
asked,
use next year?
well, I asked Haley too, earlier this week, because next week we're having
We're
a.
doing the ice cream thing, yeah.
Right, and I said, asked her if she was still okay with money, and she said she was. So maybe if it sits there, it's probably okay to.
Okay,
Yeah, I think so. And they are planning another event for later.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
that's a good question, and we could use
Okay.
it for that then. Yeah.
anything else on that? Well, says we have reports and requests. And according to this, Joe's supposed to be here. Anybody heard anything from him?
I haven't seen him for a few days either. I don't know if he's even here.
Yeah, he was here yesterday.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Okay, well, we'll put it off for now. If he does walk in, we'll work him in. Item B, quarterly update from Corporation Council. Susan, all yours.
Sounds good. Is it okay to just proceed from here?
Yep.
It's been a busy couple of months, especially the last couple of weeks. To give you just an update of some of the things that we've been working on, as you are aware, we are still working on the opioid settlement, and I appreciated the resolution and the organization to be able to provide us with a mechanism to kind of, to handle those matters as we proceed in the future. And I'll talk about Kroger in a couple of minutes. A couple of other things that are going on, some of them new, not, and some of them are not quite as new, but are updates. Staff, myself included, we are meeting to start a privacy and HIPAA compliance group. The purpose is to update our practices and policies and to obviously further legal compliance with state and federal privacy law. That group is comprised of Human Services, Human Resources, the Health Department, Becky, Corp Counsel, and the IT Department. We are in the initial stages, but as we proceed forward, there may be policy updates that we will need to bring here for approval, obviously consideration too, as well as perhaps other things. But I wanted to let you guys know that we are working on that. As you can recall, the treasurer as well as myself were working on statutory changes to Chapter 75 with the recent change into the county's foreclosure actions and procedures. Those hopefully will be back in July. For those of you who aren't on the Highway Committee, I've been working with the Highway Department to discuss their permitting process, which will likely require an ordinance change as well. This is more of a procedural change, but some of you, I know, either are involved in land management, sit on land management's oversight committee. There has been a slight change into the process, and so we're hoping to get those citations processed faster in the future. So now that's not necessarily an ordinance change, but we've worked on the process a little bit. And just as an update, there will be an appeal on one of our matters where the county was successful in the circuit court. Now they're challenging it to the Court of Appeals. That briefing schedule, I will know it after the 17th. As that comes out, I might be just a little bit quiet. So I might hole away for whenever my briefing is due. And just to, as an update, I said in April when I gave our annual report that I would try to improve our tracking of our case numbers and so forth. And if you want more specificity, I can try to break that out. But our office roughly handles 35 to 40 hearings per month, as well as meetings and so forth. So if you have any questions, and I know Kroger is a separate item, just let me know. Any questions about any of that?
Just,
Yeah.
if I heard right, in the, you were talking about citations, is that what you were talking about? Not, it's the other, that side of it, the enforcement side, not the permitting side, is what we're talking about there.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because to me, with highway, the permitting process, any sort of permitting department, so that's highway, that's land management, that's conservation, there needs to be some uniformity in the practices and some consistency in some of the languages, or in the language, in the different permits. So that's something that has been started. The enforcement side with the citations, we're trying to expedite those a little bit faster. So both of those things are going on.
Anybody else have any questions? You apparently did a good job. Thank you. Next up is the Kroger settlement.
I was hoping today that I would have something a little bit more defined than what I will tell you. It's supposed to come tomorrow, so the timing of it isn't as good as I'd like. I did ask Paul to put it on the agenda just so we could provide some information either way. So the Kroger settlement is part of the opioid settlement. This is another settlement that the county has the potential to receive. We are already a participant in this, but what's coming next is that if the county wants to, so it's up for consideration, we have the ability to agree to another settlement agreement, which would also result in more money for opioid abatement. That should be coming, as I said, tomorrow. I just received an email that Andy should be circulating that tomorrow morning. Once I get it, I will review it. We do have to make a decision on it before August 12th, which really means that with the timing, it has to be done in July for consideration. We gotta, consider it, decide whether we want to move forward, make a vote, get all of our information to the necessary people, really in July then. The administrator's rubric, which is a different administrator, I just point that out. It doesn't really affect the county that much, but if you hear rubric, that's who's administering this particular settlement. So the settlement itself is 1.2 billion, but if you recall, that's across the country. Once Wisconsin gets its share, the state takes a portion, and then we get another portion of that. So any questions? It'll be coming up.
If we don't use it all, or how much are we allocated, or is that not set yet?
It's not set in here. I can find that for you. It's a percentage. It's a smaller percentage. I haven't seen the final amounts of what our percentage will be from this share. We will get this, let's see, it goes over 11 years. So it's gonna be whatever the percentage is over an 11-year period from the effective date. So probably, I'm guessing next year, but that could change.
And we have to use this money for
Yes.
opioid-associated things.
Absolutely.
Can we use any of the money to pay for some of the new jail, being that some of the cells are for people who are on drugs, and that we had to build them special for those people? Can we
That's
slide
a
some
really
money
good
over that?
question. We can't. We would have to make a very creative argument about that. And the thing is that what makes Wisconsin unique and is that not only do we have these settlement agreements, we also have state law that requires us to abide by those terms of the settlement agreements. So on top of the contractual requirements, we have a statutory requirement. So we really need to be using them for opioid abatement. So
Thought I'd
it makes
ask.
sense. It's not a unique question at all, but we really need to be using it for an approved use. And there are jail-related uses that you can,
That's what I was gonna say. There are some possibilities there, I would think.
there are. It's just more of a use versus creating a building.
Does the county hospital, even though, they've taken some of the patients have drug issues, does it, being that they're their own entity, do they qualify for any of this, or?
Right now, it's county money. Those that are actually there, if they are using it through, for example, a drug commitment, it would probably be paid through the county's behavioral health department to,
To them?
yes.
Okay.
And Jay and Jerry probably could fill in the blanks there, so, but that's what I'm anticipating.
Thank you.
Just an offhand thought with that comment would be, those people in that facility to qualify to use our money would have to be Trempealeau County residents, wouldn't they?
They'd have to be Trempealeau County residents, and they'd
Couldn't-
also,
It couldn't be the entire package of,
no, and
they
they would
have.
also have to have a drug commitment, which is fairly rare. Yeah, for whatever reason, we are far more likely to have alcohol commitments in Trempealeau County than a drug commitment. And in and of itself, those are fairly rare, but it would have to be a specific court order for them to be there. Any other questions about this? More to come in July.
okay, thank you. And we will move all the way up backwards to Joe. So you're up.
Good morning, everyone.
But by the way, officially, I'll close the call-in time at this point. I haven't seen anything happen, so, okay. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone.
You gotta turn the mic on. There you go.
All right, good morning. Well, I don't have very much to report for the Veterans Office. We currently are sitting at about 98 cases that are active in the county. Of those 98 cases, a majority of them are older, that have just been kind of sitting in VA's queue. Those hopefully will be decided in the near future, but VA is sitting at about 6 to 9 months currently for their wait time. VA healthcare-wise, we've been continuing our push to try and get as many veterans as we can enrolled in VA healthcare. Of our 1,800 veterans that are actively receiving benefits, only 700 are currently receiving healthcare. So we're really trying to push to have those people come in and get enrolled. That's really been the biggest push. Other than that, Congressman Van Orden was here last week. That was a very interesting meeting with him. And then we are currently working on hopefully getting Senator Baldwin to come in. She has expressed interest in meeting Reynolds Tomter. Reynolds is currently over in France for the 80th anniversary of D-Day, and he made CNN, so now a lot of people are very interested in Yeah, they're very interested in getting to meet Reynolds now. So Senator Baldwin's office reached out to me, along with the Secretary of the VA, have both reached out and said they want to make a trip to come meet Reynolds. So I thought that would be a really, really cool thing. Other than that, the office is continuing as we always do, working claims the best we can, setting up appointments as we can. We did our big flag push for Memorial Day. We handed out over 3,600 flags, along with ordering of new markers for the flag holders. In total, that was probably about $5,500 worth of things that we spent of our $6,000 yearly budget for the care of veteran graves. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions or?
I'm gonna come and see that. I need a plaque for Galesville. Do you have a plaque and stand available?
Which kind?
Just the general.
Yep, I've got those.
I'll be down there.
Perfect. Anything else?
Of the veterans that you're saying aren't involved in the health, or the healthcare part of it,
Yes.
is it a reason for that large number? It's just they don't come and ask, that we aren't informed?
I'm not
Or
sure.
do they have other coverage that they don't need it?
It's very possible. So any veteran who has a rating through VA is automatically eligible for VA healthcare. Even if you have a 0% rating, so you're not receiving compensation, but you're rated for something, you get VA healthcare. Now, it's not free if you're rated that low, but it's cheaper than Medicare. So I'm not sure where the disconnect is or the number of veterans who just decide not to enroll in VA healthcare. It does take a conscious effort to maintain VA healthcare. So a lot of times it's possible that veterans just decide they don't want to go to the VA. You do have to attend at least one appointment a year to maintain VA healthcare. If you don't get it. It's a use it or lose it kind of benefit. And VA has spent a lot of time expanding the healthcare benefit to people who aren't normally eligible for it. So all those facts together should make it so that veterans are wanting to get VA healthcare. And I really don't know what the disconnect is, but we've been trying very hard to push that information out to veterans. The dissemination of just the medical information alone is paramount to veteran health. Because if veterans know that they have this benefit, I'm hoping they step up and use it. But a lot of times that's not the case, and I really don't know why.
Just a personal note, thinking back to my father, who passed some 15 years ago now, who was a World War II vet, who didn't think because he didn't have any lasting effects that he didn't deserve anything.
Right.
And it took a lot of convincing.
Yep. And that's a lot of times the struggle we have with, especially Vietnam era, I've noticed.
Yep.
I know the Vietnam War was polarizing in a lot of ways, and the veterans, when they came home from Vietnam, were treated,
Poorly.
yeah, I mean, yeah, very good choice of words. So I think a lot of times, especially with that era of veteran, it's very hard to convince them that the VA is actually on your side and wants to help, because most guys from the Vietnam era just don't think that. And I feel, especially in our area where the majority of our veterans in Trempealeau County are that era's veterans, I think that's where the biggest disconnect is. So we have been trying to push that on the radio show every month. We've been working really closely now with both Buffalo County and Jackson County. They have both agreed to come in and do the radio show on alternating Tuesdays. So now every Tuesday of the month, there's going to be a veteran spotlight, regardless if it's myself or if it's going to be Felicia from Buffalo County or Jackson County's VSO. He has also come down now twice to do the radio show. And then, of course, Brian Liga from American Legion has also been doing one. So every Tuesday, we're going to have a veteran on there, and we are going to move towards now doing a veteran spotlight as well on Tuesday mornings. So we're going to bring in a veteran to sit down and just tell a little bit about themselves. And we thought that'd be a really great way to showcase a veteran every once in a while. So Buffalo County will bring one down, Jackson County will bring one down. The first one we're going to do is a former colonel from Persian Gulf era, and he is going to come in and do a talk. He lost his leg after the Persian Gulf War. So we thought that'd be a really good gentleman to bring in and do a little veteran spotlight. And we're just hoping that showing that these veterans, they have VA health care. They have this, they're supported, that maybe we can get the word out that this is what VA is looking for now. All right, any other questions? All right, fantastic. It was great to see you all.
Thank you, Joel.
Yeah.
Item number 10, resolution of 2023 overruns.
Okay, that should be in your packet. Oops, I'm not on. And I noticed now on that resolution, I didn't put a total on there, so you'll probably have to write that in. So I'll have to get a new one for county board anyway. But our overruns have been getting better and better every year. This time it's $38,554.15. And I guess that's all I have. And then I talked to the auditors and they said, I didn't put it in the packet?
I was gonna say, I don't
No, I
have it.
was just gonna say, is it just me?
How come?
Well, and I can't get my packet to come up on
And
that.
I don't see it unless it's labeled differently. I don't see it
No,
on our.
it would say,
Electronic, not on
resolution for overruns.
Yeah, I don't-
On your agenda? It's on your agenda, but it's not
Yeah,
in your
but
packet.
it's not,
No
And it's,
detail- no
maybe
detail
that's
in the
why,
packet.
because I didn't have the, I mean, if we want to wait on this one, we can. The auditors aren't in any hurry for it, but it will be part of the audit.
By wait, you mean wait another month for it?
I would think so, yes.
I would think if the time, if we can do the time, I'd prefer to see real stuff before we vote,
There you,
Yeah, definitely.
okay?
okay, I will put that back on.
Okay, next item. Discussion and possible action, setting the new maximum credit card limit on the county clerk's credit card.
This is the first time it's happened that we've maxed out our credit card with everybody buying Amazon and Staples and all kinds of, and a lot of room reservations. And so it turned out a bunch of our purchases were denied because of the credit card. And we have a $20,000 limit, but we have cards out there that total $34,000. So I feel that we should increase that a bit. What's coming up also is that the new people on the second floor over here, the new offices anyway, have purchased a postage machine. And the only way they can put postage on is with a credit card. So they will be jumping in on our credit cards also. So I would like to have that increased. We monitor it very closely, so I mean, it's not anything that'll get out of hand.
I'd make a motion that we raise that to 40,000, just double it, avoid the problems.
I'll second that.
Dick, did you have a comment, or were you?
No, I don't.
I have a
think
comment.
Yeah, okay.
When was the last time that that was increased? Do you remember?
I think when we first got it, so probably 15 years ago.
And I think it isn't probably just the number of departments and cards out there. It's more about the cost of things have gone up so substantially that they can't manage it.
Right, and the judge's office said that they were going to cover the annual maintenance. There's a cost for having a postage machine. And I don't know what that cost is, but they were gonna take care of that in their budget. So I guess we're okay on that part. I was gonna just mention also that the sheriff's department also has a $20,000 limit. And when I added up the individual cards, it was over $53,000 in cards. Each card has a limit, but, you know, if everybody went and maxed out their card, we'd be at 53,000. So, and they have not had a problem, so I mean, the 20,000 there is okay.
Okay, any other comments? Yeah. Okay, the motion is to increase that limit to 40,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done.
Thank you.
Rebecca is up with discussion regarding regular meeting dates for county board committees.
Yeah, so. I just brought this forward to department heads to talk to committees because it would just be helpful to populate our calendars further out throughout the rest of the year because meetings are scheduled farther out. And so when I attend meetings, always at the end, it's, okay, when are we going to meet next? And generally, it's going to be, you know, the same date and time and the month after. But it would just be helpful to say, that's the standing meeting date for this for this committee. And then if there's not a quorum, it gets changed like you have done in the past. But if we could just make a, make it approved that this is the standing meeting date monthly and the time would be, or I think we're off on this month, right?
This one
This
was
one
supposed to be on
was
Monday.
changed, yeah. This one was changed, but whatever the original, if you stay with that, it would just be helpful. And then I plan out a calendar quite a ways, and I think for the public as well, as we get it on our website, so that we'd have that available for people.
Yeah,
that-
I think the only time that, for the most part, that those change is for reasons like July 4th or Labor Day, Memorial Day, and then we do a shift, and I can understand those, but I'm also in the same thought process as you are, Rebecca, in the sense that it's nice that they stay. There's been a couple committees, even that I'm on, that have moved to a completely different week and a different day, just because one person can't attend, or the chair can't attend. Well, that's why we have a vice chair, and I would just prefer, there's obviously been times I couldn't attend, whether it be for illness or something, and I just either try to Zoom it, which we have that ability, or unfortunately, I have to play catch-up
Right.
and what I missed,
And I-
so.
I think now the three committees I'm on, we established at our first meeting the day for our meetings for the next 12, I guess, 24 months, really. So it's just a matter of getting them on the record rather than, this one, yeah, John and I were both gone. That's 2 out of 5, and instead of somebody.
Yeah, and we,
And Adi too, 3 out of 5, yeah.
yeah, certainly some of
Forgot about
those
it, too,
things are
yeah.
gonna come up, but those are a little more rare.
Right.
It's in every month it's, oh, I can't make this day, or, and can we move it to the next day or the next week or something, and that's become a little bit much to
Okay.
manage. I think maybe Rebecca and I are kind of thinking of the same committees, because in the last 2 months, we've had a lot of things shift.
Okay, my next, okay, Adi?
I just want to say I agree with both of you, that I think if you set a date, and then people who want to come to the meeting know that this is going to be the first Monday, or third Monday, or whatever it is, they can plan on it. All the department heads know if they need to have something special, they can plan on it, because this is when they got to have it in. I think that's a very good idea to, and consistency is great when it comes to having meetings.
Okay. Paul?
And it would help our office a lot, because Dawn has, one month, I think you changed it at least 3 times.
times.
Yes.
Because somebody called and said, no, that's not when we're meeting. Because we'd like to have that customary, no, it is.
Well, just for this meeting, it's the first Monday of the month,
Right, yep.
whenever that falls.
Environment and land use is the first Wednesday of the month. Highway's the second Tuesday of the month. I mean, that,
Yeah, and the only time we usually move this committee is when Memorial Day, Labor Day,
Right, yep.
kind of thing. So I think we've stayed fairly well on track here.
And we're pretty good here because Dawn is taking the minutes, so she knows when the next one is going to be.
and I would suggest, I assume that your computer has the capability of putting at least 8, 10, 12 months out there that you could
I
fill
can
all
put it out
she
for
does.
many years.
Yep.
Yeah, and have it all filled out in that calendar.
Yep,
So,
because that's what I do with exec finance. Sorry.
You're on.
you're
You were
Yeah,
on.
now you shut yourself off there.
So with exec finance, like I put it out and I do it reoccurring for
Right.
every month
Right.
on the same day. If it changes, then I can go in and change just that specific date. So,
No, I think it changed, like this meeting, we called, because I gotta leave this after, get out of here as soon as possible, but normally it's 8:30. We wanna leave it at 8:30?
30's fine with me.
And it's also for those committees or that are sending out paperwork in the mail, like this month, I got 2 copies from the healthcare center, both with different dates on them. And so whether or not they contacted Rebecca or not, we're both still sitting here going, what day is it?
So,
So then there's a lot of texting going on, and so it's confusing for the people sending out the mailings as well.
that's true.
And we found out this time around too that the healthcare center hadn't sent us the agenda. So we didn't really know when it was until we saw the agenda.
and then there was a second mailing. So I don't know which one you got or if you ended
Oh,
up
I got
getting
both of them in the email. So it was really, I looked at the first one first, posted it, and then the following day, then I got the second one, posted that, so.
And I looked back in the previous minutes as well, from the meeting, the date that we agreed upon, and so that was different. So, yeah,
Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier if people reach out to me on, so when I'm doing the calendar, like if something changes, please let me know. So then, otherwise I'll just post it on the same day of every month that you guys are having your meetings. So,
So, at this meeting, based on what you brought up, is there anything we can and should be doing at this committee meeting to try to bring this about in a better fashion? Or are we just talking about it and say, hey, everybody, please?
Yeah, I think what we're doing is just addressing it at the committees so that everybody can choose what is the date and time that you want to do. And then that way we can just populate calendars and like Bridget was saying, if 4th of July week, that is going to be another one, maybe that might conflict, but, things like that come up or quorum issues, but otherwise then we just know. So if you've determined the first Monday at 8:30, sounds right?
Yep.
Yep, then that's all we need, I think.
Is this something that should be brought up at county board so we get it all at one crack?
I think so.
I
I
think it
think
should
an
be announced,
announcement should be made so that all of the supervisors that sit on committees are aware that whether they're chair or not, they're not gonna request a different date and time, that it's set. Because that's kind of we are setting them, trying to be regular, and then something comes up for whoever it is, and then we're trying to adjust even less than a week ahead.
I can address that in my
Okay.
update, if that
Yep.
sounds appropriate.
Okay,
Okay.
Put it on the county board agenda then.
right.
Okay.
Well, do you want it as a separate item or just under your report?
Just under my report.
That's what I thought, okay.
Okay.
Next item. Discussion possible action regarding courthouse renovation.
So I don't know if we need action. I'm just gonna bring this forward to you because, I have talked to you about a change in looking at that renovation. The exec finance committee approved setting aside funds. I've shared with you that, we've made the next step for possible appropriations funding from the feds, and so we don't know what that looks like yet, but in an effort to try to keep things moving forward on that also, so that we can get planning done and everything, I would just like to talk to you about what the plan looks like. Some people have seen that already, others have not, so I will just bring this up real quick so that you get an idea of what and why. So I've shared a number of times in just talking with individuals that I have had my own experience meeting with the public and just being in the hallways in public, being in that far corner, trying to get to the clerk, trying to get to the register of deeds, trying to get to the treasurer, and really struggling because of mobility issues and trying to, now they got there, now they got to go all the way back, and it is concerning and to me, having only been here a short period of time, the number of people that's happened to already is, it seems like that's not a good thing for us and how we address service to the communities. So I was looking at that, and then also in writing for appropriations funding, it's really looking at bigger needs of the county and how we address those things in a public facility like this. And so some of the, one of the biggest needs that's affecting our communities is not having enough childcare. And so that was one of my biggest focuses, was talking about how to include childcare option here, and because that also is an economic driver to the county and how we're providing that so people can get to work. And how our own employees possibly could benefit from this so that we're attracting people to come and work here. This was a conversation I had with Gunderson Hospital, Joni there, and she's in support and realizes the difficulty that they're having for their employees. It was also a conversation I had with Superintendent Bigley and his also support and interest. I know that in some of my conversations, there are school districts that offer this as well, and I have seen that as well. So they would be further conversations on exploring how we would staff something like that and partnerships that are created. So that would be further to come. But so just in looking at this, if you look, I don't know if you can see it real well, but I'll just kind of explain on the screen that turquoise area is identified as childcare. That is currently registered deeds, clerk's office, and, no, I'm sorry. Sheriff. No, yep, sheriff's office, sorry, thank you, and register of deeds. And so, and then the garage space is that gray area, so that stays for Jeremy and such. But anyway, that space would be created then for childcare. It would be segregated off because you can't have access to that. That's very secure. Then the kind of area that's salmon colored there, that right below it, that is a space for community space, so that you could do social, programming there for individuals in the area, and that you could provide meal programs or things out of that space. Or that, human services could do programming or, classes, things like that. And again, that is Paul's space over in there, and so that you'd have access from that parking lot. The green space is human services, the purple is ADRC, the yellow then is veterans. That pretty much is the same. The difference that happened here is that Paul's space in the salmon used to be green. It was human services as well. So I have met with Jay and talked to him about, and really sat down and we looked at the space that was designated already. And I really believe in that space, there was a lot of storage space, a lot of waiting room space, and he agreed that they would be able to absorb that into what they have created right here, and be able to, we'll use the old jail space up above or the basement for storage, so that our prime location for offices is available. That, he and his team need to go back then to the drawing board and say, okay, how are we gonna fit all of this? But just in looking at it, he was in agreement that could work. So that's the first floor, and then this is the second floor. So this is a little bit different. Some things, again, are the same, some things changed. If you look at the yellow, then is the health department. That's pretty much the same. What is different is that hallway. The hallway connecting, if you go right down these stairs and over, that hallway would potentially be quite wide. This is making just a regular sized hallway and creating storage space along the one side so that the health department, again, has storage for all of their things and can get use their office space for offices and get their storage into the storage area. The first gray corner or gray spot is the mail room then, where we would have a centralized mail room. Right now, everybody has their own separate mail and everybody has to have a contract for those postage meters. And so this would make one central mailroom where everybody goes and then we share the costs and we don't have multiple. And then they get the mail over to the clerk anyway, right? I think. Yeah. And so we'll get to that anyway. So, then the fuchsia hot pink color there, that is Corp Council. Corp Council would be moving again, unfortunately have to move her, but this would make a much better location for Susan and her team because she's got to access the courts and access the other side, so she'd be in the middle. So she we're way in the corner, in the far corner now, so it makes it really difficult, especially when you just heard about her schedule. She's got a lot going on, so. And then the gray right along there is Jeremy, so that he's, maintenance, he has the same issue. He's got to get to both sides easily for issues and puts him right in the middle. Then you move, so that, this way again, we're looking to, what we're doing, this is where the elevator is and the stairs. As you come in and you go past the ADRC veterans, you can take the elevator or stairs up to the second floor. Health department is right there for the public. And then the green and the orange and the gray, that's gonna be the clerk, the treasurer, and the register of deeds right there, so that they're coming off that elevator, stairs, and can access those 3 points really easy. The green, I don't know which color you call that, olive green, that's still land where they are right now. The blue, I just put in there for John. We need a office for our.
That's a bathroom,
Oh, right there, there is one.
Yeah, there is. For our, for the county board chair. And then the, again, turquoise color, that's the rest of land. The red is UW Extension. Pink is human resources, economic development, parks, and business office area. And then that salmon color across there is still IT. So a lot of it hasn't changed on that end, but that's where that's at. We added a central meeting space in that green area. Again, we'll have to see how this all fits, but it would provide a meeting space for everybody on that floor. I think we could do another one down in the pink area where we have one right now, which is nice for us to all share. But that would provide a central meeting space for this floor, and especially for the health department. And then the health department gets rid of their meeting space, freeing up an extra room or two in their space for office. Because they are a little tight over there. So I'm bringing this forward to you because I wanted to share this and saying, I guess because you guys have the purse strings in getting that started. And Monday, we have property committee. So Samuel's group, Kurt's gonna be there, and we're gonna present that to the property committee and talking about this. What I'm thinking, or what we were thinking, is that because we still are a little bit unsure about funding for, the appropriations, feeling good about it, but not, positive yet, and we won't know until the end of August, that we could bid this out in zones. So that the main floor is bid out as far as everything except the childcare and community space, and the childcare community space is separate. And then the second floor, the first floor remaining in that, and then we can bid it out and see what can we do and when, and we kind of, and then we can determine how we just move that forward. If if we didn't get the appropriations, what would we want to do? So anyway, I wanted to bring this forward to you to say, get your thoughts first, and thinking about if I take it to the next step to say, yep, we want to start laying this out and this design, then it costs money, right, to have that changed again, of course.
Eventually, they're moving dispatch. What's gonna happen to that space?
That's a part of that first floor, that's a part of human services.
Okay.
They take over that space.
I wanted to put in just one plug with that salmon part being a community area. the entrance would be from the parking lot. There would be no entrance from the main courthouse, so there wouldn't be a security problem. And I thought that would be good because of these, like Fair Board, when they want to meet here, or, what was the other one? There were two of them that we talked about.
Right,
I think she did some 4-H stuff.
4-H groups.
4-H, that's it, yep. That they would be able to just come in there, and that's as far as they can get.
Yep.
Security wouldn't have to be hired to
Yes.
let
Along
people
that
in.
same- Along that same line, I would have a question in regard to the childcare potential space. Would that be isolated also like the community room?
Yes.
And then, is your intention, or is our intention going to be to make sure this is available to our employees only, our employees first?
Yeah,
Public-
that's a really good question.
Public, wide open to public?
Yeah.
Are we going to provide this to employees at some sort of, I'll call it a benefit, where there's a reduced cost for our employees, and these are just all questions that,
All great things that we have to work through. But I think those are all really valid and great questions. And honestly, I mean, I have worked with this before and seen examples of it. And we have examples, like I said, over at the school district in Arcadia. And someone told me Blair as well. And I haven't reached out to them yet, but I will be. And, but those, that's exactly. But it is a good thing to think about as far as a benefit for your employees. And then you're absolutely right. I mean, we have to do some more work to determine how many slots do we think we need, how many slots in what age categories, and what what we might want to do as far as if that's a benefit. And then, like I said, getting the hospital and school district to be a part of that as well would be helpful.
Yeah, that was kind of my question based on the square footage and obviously number of staff required by state for certain age groups and/or after-school care, whatever it might be. Because they do require a fair amount of space and everything that goes along with that.
I have initially, I worked closely with my YMCA, and they had childcare. So I sent this to the YMCA director that I used to work with before I ever, this was before when we were just sketching it, and I just said, could this be used? Can you tell me how many children could fit in this space? And he had looked at it, and that was without a little bit of this corner over here, and it was 60, 66, I thought he told me.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and Samuel's group, he had said about 60 as well. Now, we expanded this a little bit to include the front part of that sheriff's area. But anyway, so it could be a little more, but I don't know if we have that need either. We'll have to, we could potentially look at the SAM and the, I don't know, could that be bigger or not? But I don't know all what's there and how hard that is to move some of the things that are there, so.
I think it would be important to fill what we have, and if it is always constantly full with employees and/or other community members, if we have space, what a good problem to have, that we then find space for more children. So
Yep.
the only other question I had is, I know we briefly talked about the coroner / maybe medical examiner component, because whether it be the Justice Center or this building, there's no space for that person.
That's right.
And-
That's right, and it's not built in here because of this, and what I've been told is that individual has a lot of stuff. And so you would probably want that close to the axis of the entry door, except, I don't know, I'm just, when we look at the second floor, there is space up there, even though I have it all identified. This is very large space. I've walked that a number of times, and, you know, some of the pink, the blue, I mean, I think that could, the gray even, that, you know, we can, as we go into developing this, we could add something. I'm just not sure if that's the right location.
Yeah, I mean, that would be something, meeting with,
Yeah.
Bonnie.
Would the basement be, you know, right now we have, you know, where the elevator goes down and then right around that elevator somewhere so that you'd have a cart with your things and then you could, I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know.
yeah, someplace that's fairly easy access, because they're coming in and out 24/7, potentially, so.
My question is, where you had that community center, like, do they have access to the current bathrooms, or are you gonna have to make a new bathroom?
That's a good question. They would have access to these bathrooms right here.
There would be doors there into the courthouse?
So,
Or were you thinking?
that was my discussion with, so that you brought that up, that was my discussion with Samuel's group when we were looking at this just a couple days ago. There would have to be some type of barrier put here, and this is the conversation I had with Jay as well, is saying, can the human services staff go through the door to get into the public space so that they could do programming and get there easy? And then they would have to go around and come back through checkout, because you can't get into the building from there. So that was my conversation with Samuels. It's a little bit question about that right now because of these bathrooms and your question there, and saying, how do we, but they're gonna, you know, think about that, and so we'd have to think about how that would work. But I think it could, and they thought it could, but it probably can at a price. That's always the problem. But anyway, that's a good question.
I think it would definitely be good use of that space, especially in a time now where we just don't, not just as an employee benefit, but providing potential possibilities for the community to have additional childcare, depending on how that's set up.
Mr. Chair, it'd be nice to see some numbers on that too, to see what it would cost, because I know state says you have to have so many people for so many kids, what the cost would be, what we'd have to charge, and just the overall cost of that. And then my other question was, when you're dropping 60 kids off and picking up 60 kids, how's the traffic flow gonna be there when some people are getting off work, some people are coming to work? That parking lot is pretty well used by the sheriff's department now. I mean, have you looked at that at all? That's gonna be kind of a headache, because, you know, parents pick the kids up almost at the same time, and you're gonna have an hour, pretty busy time. This
Yeah,
is something
I
to think
mean-
about, because you don't wanna run into it down the road.
No, exactly, and I have thought of that, and I mean, absolutely, it's gotta be, that's a drop off, and so I don't see those cars sitting there anymore. So I mean, that's a change, that has to change. Yeah, you can't, you wouldn't be, you'd have to allow access in and out there for drop off and, yeah. One other piece to this, and this is again in that appropriations funding, and remember I requested 5 million. Part of that request was asking for funding for sustainability measures for possibly solar, so that we could offset some of our energy costs as we go forward. I just don't know what the feasibility would be to include it. I have some concerns again of like just where costs are, so whether that can be included or not. But I think it's an exciting thing to think about because it would reduce our costs for this larger building going forward. The building rooftop cannot sustain that on the old government center. We don't know about the new, if it's built strong enough for something like that, so.
I was,
Jeremy told me it would not. So,
You're talking about the old.
the old,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we have to get an engineer on that.
Boardroom, those pillars, they had to put in extra pillars just to hold up the floor down in the county boardroom. It's like that on the first floor, and so I don't think it would
But I would think the new
support.
one would be able to handle that. I mean, what happens if you get 6 feet of snow? It'd be the same
Yes.
thing, you know?
That's right, and the way they built it is, you know, in my experience in working with the solar and a brand-new building, I thought we had a community center, and that was the plan, is to put it on the community center, a brand-new building. It would not, with the snow, it would not be able to, you know, handle both. So, anyway,
Are you bringing this to the property next week?
yeah.
I wonder, Kurt's gonna be there, he should be able to
Yeah.
answer that, he should be able to answer the question of if it'll hold the solar panels or not.
I
That-
did just ask him a couple days, so and he didn't know, but I'll see if he's followed up with that.
What day and time does property meet? Mon-
8:30 next Monday.
Yep. So, and there, you know, as far as the solar piece as well, I have interest, there's the Inflation Reduction Act funding that is funding also for that purpose. And so even if, you know, we find, you know, that we're having difficulty fitting that in budget-wise, maybe some of that can be offset through funding through other means in the future, or maybe even at the time. I mean, even if we got the funding and, you know, I would still be looking at those funds for help on the solar side of things.
anything more on this?
Good discussion anyway.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, item 14, more discussion, possible action regarding new position / reclassification / capital outlay CIP forms.
So.
Same presenter.
Yeah, sorry, you gotta listen to me some more. So first, I just want to go over that capital outlay form, and I would look to approve this policy. It's a policy that I would like us to put into place, and that it would go to the board in June. So the purpose of the policy really is to establish our CIP rules and why we need capital improvement planning. Setting a realistic schedule of a capital outlay and improvement project expenditure document that can be implemented within the limits of the county's financial resources. The plan is a mechanism for departments to identify potential capital outlay expenditures and projects and provide justification for their need to the county administrator. Major improvement projects can be evaluated from a long-term perspective rather than satisfying immediate need. The plan serves as a conduit of information from the various departments to the county board. The CIP is a comprehensive document that not only provides continuity in financial decisions, but connects long-term planning to the annual budget process. A successful CIP can stabilize the tax levy over time and effectively match future expenditures with the capacity to pay for them in a given time frame. A valuable objective of a CIP is to create public awareness about the future needs of the county. So just to bring that forward first, I just think it's really helpful as leaders for you to see what are your assets and where are the needs and what's the timing on those and when do they need attention. Because we all know just because we put a building up doesn't mean that it's going to not need attention, and that we're going to have to continue to think about how things are addressed. And that's what we're doing right now in this government center. So I know you've worked on some of this, but I'd like to see I'm going to share this with you as well. And this is an example of a CIP plan that shows each department and things that are coming forward so that you're seeing a 5-year outlook and looking at you would then know what projects are anticipated. Let me just, I'll zoom in here a little bit more so you can see. This is an example of another county looking at, okay, well, the tower sites and things like that. And then what's the cost, what's the funding source, operations, the grant, and then what goes on the levy, and this is for 24, but you can look out then and see, okay, 25, what are the upcoming 26, 27, and this is not cast in stone. If you know, looking at the policy, this is just as a planning opportunity and a planning document so that, you know, you have a way to look out. Sometimes something that's comes up that you, as you know, you had no awareness of and you missed it and you weren't thinking about. But this really gives a great opportunity to like look at this and then think about priorities and how you start to tackle and keep track of, I just like the document of looking at this. And so that's kind of, this policy helps drive that document and that part of sharing with you on keeping or that information coming before you so that you can make plans for how we take care of these assets that you have. So the county administrator and clerk's office compile the CIP, so CIP planning would be happening right now. Generally, we're gonna even start this a little earlier, but you know, we're getting a little later here because of my timing coming in, but and then Paul and I will work to compile that and we'll put it into a document like this so that we can bring it forward and start to discuss that and talk about how that would happen. So, capital expenditures over 5,000 are included on the CIP, so that's if you have IT and they're buying multiples of something, because they have to do that, right? We can even include that, can be a part of our planning for that, but, so.
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I think that this is one of the components that the county has kind of been missing. And I think going forward throughout the year, it's something to look at, but certainly being able, when we get into the budget process and prior to, seeing what's on here and seeing comparatively, okay, is it in this department's budget and why isn't it? And do we need it in there or can we move that? And so, yeah, it's not set in stone, but it's a really nice tool to look at, and it also keeps those department heads updated on what they need to do. So I would be in full favor of implementing this.
I agree. I think it's a great idea. I think at least it gives you something to look at when you plan ahead to say, rather than waiting, all of a sudden it breaks, and then you figure, where are we gonna get to here? It's preventative. You're trying to stay ahead of the curve, especially then if you get new people on the board, they say, oh, okay, they can get a grasp on what's down the road and what's coming. I think it's a good idea. I would advise doing it all in pencil and not ink. But I agree with you, Bridget. It's a great,
But it's
great
certainly
tool
a
to use,
starting
especially for
point.
budget. Yes, exactly.
And it's a really nice way to look at everything as a whole and have that, all the departments and all their budgets and knowing what the plan is for the next 5 years. And yeah, they are gonna get adjusted and moved and tweaked a little bit, but
Yeah.
at least it's somewhere to start.
I agree, so that, I just have a couple points that I have to pick something apart, of course. Most items on there have some type of description as to what they pertain to. Land purchases, I guess, is, you know, there's no general description or no definition to that. But vehicles are left without a definition. I'm just curious as to, now, I did notice on the form itself that you had, on the form itself, it talks about new purchase or a
Right.
replacement purchase. It talks about that on the form itself, but in the policy, it doesn't.
Yeah, the policy is really more for a general overview, yeah.
What I was just gonna
Okay.
mention was that in the past, all we've done is a one-year plan. It's always been, and that's what those project initiation forms were. It was just what you need a one-time deal next year, but this
With
spreads it out.
Highway, as far as I know, has always had a 5-year plan out there. Well, it changes.
Well, that's why it's in pencil.
Yes, yes. But it would be a good idea to have an overview like this that shows highway with every other department, because you're just not the highway. You have to think about the county and county government in totality. And so sometimes yes, the highway needs to come down because we have these needs here, but other times it's higher because we have, and so that's where I think having a plan like this, and you might find that 5 years isn't enough. I know, I know in some situations that I'm aware of, we've moved further than in laying it out further because because of all the equipment needs and things like that. It's just like, well, we know those things are on this schedule, and so let's get them on a plan so that we can see long-term what's all out there. So, but I think it's a good place to start as far as 5 years.
So
I'd look-
at this point, do we need a motion for this to move forward to full county board?
Please.
Right.
I'll make that
Okay.
motion to approve the CIP.
Yep. And a second from Adi. Any more discussion, questions, input? Okay,
Yeah, question then, the new position, is that part of this or not
No,
necessarily?
so this is the policy separate, and I'm gonna talk
Okay,
about
okay.
those forms in just a moment.
Okay.
everybody understand where we are? Okay, all in favor of moving this policy forward, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to Susan, and I forgot to ask you ahead of time. I don't think I need approval of these forms, is that right?
I think that of the forms, you don't. I think it's nice for you to look at it.
Yeah.
And to provide input. I think that's an important piece to it. Technically, as the administrator, she is the head of HR. She has the ability to create those policies. And I'm sorry. Forms. Well, forms, excuse me.
Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify, but I did want to share them with you because I want you to just be a part of this whole process because it is a big change this year in going through the budgeting process. So I've talked with department heads about this, and again, it's a change, so, we might have some questions and things about this, but anyway, the change is that now if a department feels that they need a new position or they feel like someone is taking on new responsibilities and that position needs to see a pay increase or a pay change, or reclassification, those changes, those requests need to come to the county administrator first, rather than coming directly to your committees. And so then I would evaluate those, again, looking at the totality of the budget and how that might work or not work, where we would be able to fit something like that. And then it would come forward to committees and to the board. So I just shared with you, those were the new position form. And so department heads need to identify what the position is, full or part-time, how it would be funded, and then they have to give justification for it on the backside. And then, of course, I would have a meeting with them and talk with them about it and get some more information. And then, again, be making decisions and looking at the full budget and how, and knowing then that if I know like what all the requests are there's 5 requests, well, no, we're not gonna be able to fit that many, but we might be able to get this one in this year, right? So, having the one central person, then I'm knowing like what all the needs are. The job reclassification is the same type of thing, just, why, what happened, why, and, justify why you need that change. And then, so I think one of the big things to think about in these forms is, again, that change that you brought in a county administrator. Because I had a county administrator ask me yesterday about, hey, there was a question about an employee that, that there was a follow-up question that was needed, and I said, okay, that, I will follow up with that individual. And that individual wanted me to make sure that that we as a board know that department heads and myself talk with, issues or staff directly, and that's the same thing with these forms, so that if department heads are coming to you and saying, I need a position, then it is your job as well then to redirect and saying, you need to go to the county administrator. That's a part of the process and the budgeting process. So that you're just aware of how that works. It takes the pressure off of the committees. And again, it has one central person knowing what all the requests are coming in. Then there's I'm not completely sure if this is the form I want to use yet, but it was an example that I have. And so the capital outlay purchase or improvement for CIP projection form. And again, that's during the budgeting process where people are formulating all of their things that are their assets and needs that are coming up. And then that's the bigger document that I talked about that we're going to put that in there. But anyway, this is, we'll have something like this, if not this. Anyway, so that's what that is. And I shared that document with you already, and what that would, like I said, Paul and I then will take those requests and then we'll put it into looking at a 5-year plan. Questions on any of that? Or, input? I'm free to take if you think you have anything that you would like to see different.
Very much in favor, and my point here, over the 6 or 7 years I've been on the board, it hasn't been a lot, but there's been a couple issues that I can think back on, and one fairly recent when we were put on the spot to make that decision, and just what you were saying, didn't have all the input, and so this is going to be very helpful for me anyway, I guess.
Yeah, knowing, and on the committee level, you don't know where that reclassification or new position is gonna fit within the budget, even though on the committee level, they're saying, oh, it's included in the budget. The administrator's gonna have firsthand knowledge and be able to put the whole picture together, so, yeah, I think that's certainly a good place to start for that.
Okay. The one last pieces is timeline, budget timeline for 2025. Again, Paul and I met to work through this and talk about how, we really would like to try to get the majority of the work done in October because of the election, and it's a large election, so we'd like to get a lot of that work done. So, and it's coming fast and furious. Oh my goodness, yeah. So we've got.
Actually, we always met end of September, then we started.
Well,
And by
let's see, I
October,
think
we'd
those
like to have it all
requests-
done.
Those requests went out earlier than that.
Yeah,
I think the requests started going out in August,
yeah.
if I remember right.
We sent the requests out in July.
July.
But we want to do that earlier.
Earlier, yeah.
Right, we're gonna start that now, with your approval and county board's approval. We're gonna get started on that here in June. I would say this, like, again, this is 2025. In 2020, oh, I'm sorry, this is 2024, yeah, this is for 2025. I'm thinking, well, we're budgeting right now, but yes, for 2025. For 2026, we're probably gonna start these conversations a little bit earlier yet in getting April and May and, getting that backed up a little bit sooner than that. So, but right now, I think we're in a really good place. And so anyway, that's, again, just for your information. And as we work together, I'll of course, be keeping you updated on these things and then giving you information about the budget and how that's working. Questions?
Do we need another motion for the rest of this? Or it's all basically covered for the first one, should it?
We moved the policy part forward. The rest of it is just kind of a follow-up. I don't think
Right.
it needs an
Right,
official.
this is,
Is it?
right, those are just informational,
Right.
internal.
Yep.
Yep, I just want you to be
Sounds
aware.
good to me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Susan has a number for you. Heidi.
I just wanted to follow up on your question. So I was able to find the percentage for Trempealeau County and the percentage, and I'll go through the math a little bit more, and I don't have specific figures, but I can at least give you the formula. So the percentage for Trempealeau County for the state participating subdivisions is 0.320, so 0.32%. So going through the formula, I said there's a $1.2 billion settlement that's gonna go across the entire country. Then there's gonna be a portion that goes to the state of Wisconsin. The state is going to take 30% of it. The remaining 70%, we get that 0.32% of the remaining 70. So, not an exact figure, but that's the formula that we need to use. Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, yep. Okay, I think we've got everything covered here unless I don't see any hands up. Date and time of the next meeting, we did that already too.
All right.
First Monday of next month.
Do I dare take that off the agenda then, or I better
Well-
leave it on there? Because something,
Hey, use affirm instead of set.
I can do that. Affirm. Date and time for next. Got it.
July 1st.
Yeah, 8:30.
Are we doing 8 or 8:30?
8:30 is the regular time.
8:30,
This was moved up so John can get out of here, and I have another meeting at 10:30, so.
okay. So then, do we wanna, we're gonna set the dates then for
First Monday,
the rest, so it's August 5th would be, and then September is obviously Labor Day, so what are we doing
at
then?
that point, we'll have to make some sort of adjustment. This might be a little early to try to make that adjustment yet with all this.
Well, because
other-
my only thing is that what I thought I heard Rebecca requesting was that we get them to the end of the year, so we have an annual.
Yes.
We were
What
requesting,
is-
we were requesting.
That
this-
is the first Monday, Labor, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so
Labor Day is always the
do,
first Monday.
do we just move it to the Tuesday?
Well, I know, now, talking about committees meeting, PTED always meets the first Tuesday of the month. Environment Land is first Wednesday, so.
We might have to
We
do the
might
same
have to
thing we
move it
did this
to
time, go to
Thursday.
Thursday to find an opening.
Oh, if
PTED,
nobody's, yeah, but then
I am.
she goes to all the committees.
And that's kind of a big meeting that I go to.
And if you were gonna meet at the same time as them, I don't think you get this room, because they'd have it.
The following Monday's open.
That's property.
That's property.
Oh,
See,
that's,
that'll
oh,
goof up
that's property
That's
on the
Property's always
9th.
the second Monday.
Yep,
This time we bounced around till we found the first Thursday available. That might be something available.
Thursday,
As an
I'm
option?
thinking, I
That
don't,
would be September 5th.
And there's nothing on the calendar for that, is there?
Not usually on.
That would work.
That might be the option for that month.
there you go.
The first
September
Thursday,
5th,
like we did this
Okay.
month.
Then you could be,
because of the holiday.
we could swing that into next year then.
Yeah, right.
Always be the first Thursday.
Well,
because
no,
you're gonna
this
have
is,
the
Well,
same
no.
this is the
issue next
option
year.
for the
No,
Labor
then we
Day
would
month.
just go back to the first Monday. It's
If,
just,
No, you're gonna have two holidays again next year,
But they
is
may,
what I'm saying.
but they
Labor
may
Day
not.
will always be the first Monday.
Yeah.
September will always.
So, I mean, if you wanted to have it into the system, that's what I'm getting
Oh,
at.
okay,
Then
I
it would be
see.
the first Thursday in September.
September would be the first Thursday rather, yeah, as
Oh,
a
I see
standard.
what you're.
Yeah,
oh, so you want to move it
because Labor Day is
permanently?
already
No,
the
no,
first
no.
Monday of
Just
every month.
when, I think what they're saying is.
Oh, just whenever it's a
When it
Monday,
comes that the first
on a
Monday is
holiday.
a holiday.
It'll go
you
to Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, that's,
And Labor
that's
Day
good.
always
Fine.
is the
Help us
first
for the
Monday.
next
Yeah.
right.
years.
Yeah, so that's automatic.
And you're gonna write, January 1st.
I bet you she does.
Right.
I bet you she's got it almost done. He said, did you have this done now already? Calendar?
yeah, that works.
But I already know. what- So if we're gonna do September, are we still doing 8:30 or?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
As I understood it earlier on, because if we do an 8 o'clock meeting instead of 8:30, TV station has to start bringing somebody in earlier to get it set up.
Oh, okay.
And 8 o'clock is nice. I don't have any issue with 8 o'clock till winter comes, and they haven't plowed my driveway. So, to get here in time, so.
Right.
And I found out they paint lines on Thursday too. They don't
Okay.
let traffic through.
It's gonna
We
be
have that,
something,
we have that
right?
resolved. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
December?
I know, well, I just
I'm
thought
gonna
I'd be
write it on
polite
my-
today. Okay, okay.
John,
Motion to adjourn in a second, and then it'll be adjourned.
I don't know who's.
I second.
Okay, adjourned.